Blast me to Calamar's skull. It's time for the Mad Merlins Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Journey. Issue 69, Part 2. Rules and Battle Report. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Mad Merlins Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Journey. And I am bringing you the final part of issue 69. So we've got a few rules to go through and we've got a brand new mission to play. And of course I'll be going through my armies that I'll be using. Although at this point in the collection they are starting to look very samey. I can't wait for start the next delivery, as we are getting some brand new Necron units which will help give a bit more variety to our overall collection. So without further ado, let's dive in. And first and foremost, don't forget to, of course, like this video if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel again if you haven't already, as it's the only way you can get up to date with all my mad content. Quick note though, I will be doing a Merlin Mumbles very shortly. I was due to do one at the beginning of January. I totally forgot about that, and I did have a week where I wasn't feeling terribly too with it. So I will be doing that for hopefully tomorrow. I am kind of busy this evening, so I won't have time to film it this evening. So hopefully definitely for the 1st of February, I will expect that to be up. But that's not what we're here for. I mumble on my own time. So here we are then with Imperium issue 69. So this is, of course, the first half of Calgar and his Victrix Guard, as we can see on the front cover. I have got these guys built and painted, so as we are doing the battles issue by issue, I will not be able to field these guys, as technically I don't have the complete components via this issue alone. So we are going to dive straight into the rules that we get, which are Space Marine Warlord traits, and then we can dive into the mission and also the armies I'll be fielding. So all we have left in this issue is, of course, our Warlord traits for the Space Marines. So these are, well, pretty much the same as our Necron ones. Warlord traits that we can choose when we pick a Space Marine Warlord for our Warlord of our army. So we have 3 that are for generic Space Marines and 2 for the Vanguard forces. So we have the Imperium's Sword, so it allows you to reroll your charge rolls for this Warlord. And each time this Warlord fights, if it charged or performed heroic intervention, you can add 1 to the strength and attack characteristics of this model. Iron Resolve is a pretty good one. Add 1 to the wounds or characteristic of this Warlord, and each time you would lose a wound on D6, you ignore that on a 6. And finally, Storm of Fire. So this is a Ultramarine specific Warlord trait. So select a friendly Ultramarines core unit within 6 inches. Each time the model makes a ranged attack, unmodified 6 improves the AP by 1. Then for our Vanguard, we've got Shoot and Fade. So this allows you to, once per turn in your shooting phase, after shooting with a Phobos unit within 6 inches of this Warlord, you can make a normal move, or it can advance. In either case, if it does, that unit is not eligible to declare a charge this turn. So it allows you to basically retreat a little bit into a more defensive position, which will be shown on the tutorial on the other side. And then we have Target Priority. In your command phase, select a friendly Phobos unit within 6 inches of the Warlord. Till the start of your next command phase, each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack, add 1 to the hit roll. So that's pretty cool, improving the targeting characteristic of all your shooting units. So yeah, on this side we've got the tutorials. So we've got the Imperium Sword tutorial. So normally for Shock Assault you'd get +1 attacks, but with the Imperium Sword Warlord trait you get +1 attack and +1 strength. So you got to strength 6 thanks to the power sword +1, and you go up to 7 attacks thanks to shock assault and the Imperium sword. Then we have the shoot and fade here, so the Phobos unit shoots at the death marks, killing 2 of them, and then they fall back because they're within 6 of the lieutenant there, so they fall back into his position in a terrain there, so that's pretty cool. So, our mission is Heart of the Tomb. So, we are now in the underside of Kalma's Skull. We are fighting off against various Necron constructs as we are trying to get ever closer to that energy source. So, we have I think this is the first mission we actually get where we place the objective markers ourselves. So we alternate placing 4 objective markers on the battlefield, so that's 2 each. So one must be placed in our deployment zone, and the other one must be placed in the 6-inch no man's land area there as well. They can't be placed more than 6 inches from the battlefield edge, or must be placed more than 6 from the battlefield edge, and must be more than 9 from each other objective marker. So our mission objectives is secure and sweep. In this mission, you control an objective marker at the end of your command phase. It remains under your control unless my tongue stops working. Unless your opponent controls it at the end of any subsequent phase, even if you have no models in range of it. So it's pretty cool. It means you'll always be in control of your home deployment marker, even if your entire force moves away, which is going to be pretty cool. Then we have our usual capture and control progressive objective. So can't be scored in the first round, but we score 5 points for controlling 1, controlling 2. Actually, no, this time it's different. So we score 5 points if we control 1 or more objectives. We score 5 points if we control objective marker in the opponent's deployment zone. And we control more objective markers than the opponent. So that's a little bit different to normal. So we're only on 2 battle mats, so it will be an easy mission to film on my table. So I'll set that up in a bit. But first, before we go into our armies, let's take a look at what's in our future Imperium. And issue 70 is our second and final part for Vic Calgar and his Victrix Guard. Then issue 71 and 72 sees then first of our new units for the Necrons, the Lich Guard. So these guys are awesome. They can be built up in multiple ways. You can either go for the war scythes, which are shown on the build guide and paint guide. But it also does say you can, if you want to, give them their shield and sword combination. So I've already built and nearly finished painting 5 guys with the war scythe, and I'm going to be building 10 guys with shield and sword, so I got a good choice to field multiple units of these guys. So they can also be built up as the Triarch Praetorians, but we don't have the rules or the instructions for that in this collection. Right then, let's have a look at my armies, and seeing as my Necrons are right next door to me, we will start with them. Okay, so here we have my 75 power of Necrons, and it's a single 50+ power detachment. So we have my Overlord, who will be my Warlord, and his Warlord trait will be Enduring Will. I have my Royal Warden, Technomancer with Failsafe Overcharge. Hopefully this time I'll remember to use it. And my good old Chronomancer with the Photonic Transubjector. Troops, I've got 2 squads of 10 warriors plus 10 immortals. I've got the Reanimator, and this is where things get a bit construct heavy. So I've got the Reanimator, the Wraiths, Spiders, and Scarabs. Finally, I've got Flayed Ones, Death Marks, and the Tomb Blades there just to help flesh out the force a bit. So seeing as the Imperium are now entering the Necron tomb. I thought it was very thematic to go very construct heavy. So I'm glad I got some duplicate issues here. So I've got 2 spiders with scarabs. I think these guys are going to be my vanguard force going very quickly towards the enemy deployment zone. The flayed ones and the death marks here will go trans-dimensional location and pop up somewhere to harass the enemy. Everything else will slowly march towards the opponent while I leave a good defensive formation back at the home base to keep control of that home objective. Although, of course, we will control it even if we move away from it. Might even put the Wraiths? Might put the Wraiths into strategic reserve so that they can pop up somewhere later on in the battle. But they are pretty quick anyway, so they may just get deployed as normal. So yeah, pretty good army. And like I said, it is going to be starting to look very samey until we get around to those Lich Guard. And of course we do get our Destroyer soon as well. So yeah, there we have my Necron force. Next up, I'll show you my Imperial force. Okay then, here is my Imperial detachment, and again it's a 50+ power detachment. So for my HQs, I've got my Warlord being the captain, I've got 2 lieutenants here, the Tech Priest Dominus with the engine seer which comes free, and I've even took Inquisitor Greyfax, as I've just finished painting her and it'd be nice to give her a tryout. So yeah, my Warlord is the Primaris Captain who has the Iron Resolve Warlord trait. So he gets the extra wound and ignores wounds. So I also have for my troops 10 Battle Sisters, 10 Skitarii Rangers, the 3 Cataphrons, 2 squads of 5 Assault Intercessors and a squad of 5 Infiltrators. So quite a lot of troops in this detachment. For elites, I've got the Aggressors and some Archoflagellants here. And for my fast attacks, I've took the Outriders and the Seraphim there. So, yeah, pretty much the tactic for this is to set the Phobos guys up as far forward as possible. Although, sadly, this guy doesn't have the concealed positions, which is slightly annoying. But I could always deep striking him in later on anyway, because he's got his jump pack there. But yeah, pretty much it's going to be a slog forward to take the objectives and hopefully get to see the opponent's objectives as well. So the Outriders are going to prove pretty useful with their speed, and the Seraphim will be able to deep strike as well. I think the Aggressors and some of my other slower units might get put into strategic reserve just to help outflank a bit more. But all in all, it's going to be a pretty deployment zone heavy force. It'll be quite nice to try out Greyfax. If I can zoom her in here, which is really good. Followed the paint guide exactly. I'll even paint her eye. And yeah, she is a wonderful model. And that paint guide really did a beautiful number on her, picking out all that detail. A few little areas that I need to tidy up at a later date. Some of the grey lines are a bit thick, so I need to thin them down with a bit of black. But all in all, she is complete and ready for the battlefield. So yeah, she'll be bodyguarded by the Battle Sisters and the Archoflagellants. And she'll have her secret mission, of course, to help score some additional points. So that's it. I'm off to set up the battlefield, and I will see you shortly. Right, here we are. We are deployed and ready to begin our game for issue 69. So I've sort of gone for a little bit of an even spread on the terrain, with a few extra bits of scattered elements here and there. So. Deployment zones are roughly 8 inches from the edge. So on the Imperium side, in this corner here, we've got the Battle Sisters, Greyfax, the Arco-Flagellants, and the Outriders. The 5 infiltrators have snuck in there. Then we got our Rangers, our 2 Tech Priests, and the Cataphrons. 2 squads of 5 Assault Intercessors, Captain and Lieutenant. In the reserves, so strategic reserves, I've got the Aggressors, and then Sky Strike, I've got the Seraphim and our Phobos Lieutenant there. For the Necrons, we've got most of our Canoptic constructs up here. So we've got the Wraiths, Scarabs, Spider, Reanimator, 10 Warriors, Technomancer, 10 Warriors, Overlord, Chronomancer, Royal Warden, 10 Immortals, Spider and Scarabs, Tomb Blades here. Then in the dimensional translocation pockets are the Flayed Ones and the Death Marks. So Necrons won the roll-off for first turn, and they are taking first turn. They want to try and get a little bit of a head start against those pesky Imperial forces. They want to kick them off their lawn, as they say. So before we start first turn, let's have a little bit of dramatic reading. Heart of the Tomb. The dark and dusty chambers that lie beneath the crust of Kalma's skull echo with the sounds of conflict. Adeptus Mechanicus servitors outfitted with Auspex scanners and other diagnostic equipment have pinpointed a powerful energy signal at the heart of the complex. Imperial forces have begun carving a bloody, destructive path through the crypt network in search of the Xenos machinery being empowered by this stream of energy. Defend the gate. With human forces continuing to surge through the tombs like vermin, the Necron commanders have become concerned with the intruders may reach the dolmen gate at the center of the complex. They have dispatched all available forces, both Canoptic and Necron, to meet the intruders and eliminate them. On the offensive. Despite making considerable progress and destroying much Xenos technology, Imperial forces have yet to strike a telling blow upon the Necrons. Worse, casualties are mounting and fresh offensive has begun. Focused, this time, upon pushing the Necron defenders back and reaching the tomb's power core. So it is a secure and control objective. So we've got one objective in each of our deployment zones, and then one has been placed in the 6-inch no man's land in the center. So we score points for controlling the objective markers. We also score points for controlling the opponent's objective markers. And we also have controlling points for controlling more than the opponent. We also have the added bonus that once we are in control of the objective marker, we stay in control of it until such a time as the enemy are in a position to take control of it. So even if we leave our home objective unguarded, we still control it, providing there's no enemy units within 3 inches of it. So secondary objectives, though, we have gone for Slay the Warlord for the Imperium. They want to try and defeat the Overlord for revenge on their captain. And the Necrons are going for attrition. They want to try and eliminate as many of the enemy as possible. So, moving then, it's time to begin our first turn. So here we go with Necron's turn 1. And for turn 1, their protocol is Protocol of the Southern Storm, so we're going to have a little bit of extra movement to get them closer to those central objectives and in range of their guns. End of Necron's movement phase, and yeah, everything has just moved up. There's not a lot going to be in range. Tomb Blade's going to be able to shoot the infiltrators here. Other than that, everything else is going to be a little out of the range for the moment. But we are making ground, which is the important thing. So on to Necron, shooting phase. End of Necron turn 1, and there wasn't much the infiltrators could do against the amount of fire coming at them. So the Tomb Blades managed to kill 2 and wounding a 3rd, and then the 6 warriors over here that could see, 5 of which were in range, were able to shoot and killed the remaining 2.5. So not off to a good start for the Imperium. But it's their turn 1 now, so let's see if they can hopefully earn back some much killed blood. So here we go with Imperium turn 1. End of the Imperium movement phase. We've got the bikers taking up centre position in the centre of the battlefield there. Battle Sisters and the Archoflagellants and Greyfax have all moved up. The Cataphrons have took position in the ruins there, while everything else has pretty much remained stationary. The 2 Tech Priests have moved up a little bit just to make sure they're in buff range. But other than that, it's on to the Imperium shooting phase. End of the Imperium shooting phase, and we've managed to take down one of the Tomb Blades with the Battle Sisters, which is pretty cool. Got 4 wounds out of the amount of shots they put into them, 2 of which were -1 and 2 were just regular. Greyfax tried to shoot another one, but they managed to shrug off those wounds. The Outriders moved forward, as I said, and ploughed all their bolt gun shots into the warriors in the centre there, killing 4 of them, but 2 reanimated, and they've pulled back a little bit to make the charge a little harder. The 1 plasma Cataphron that could see shot at the warriors, but didn't get any wounds. So it's now on to the charge phase. We've only got 1 charge, which is the Outriders. They're going to try and charge into those warriors, but they're going to need probably a good 10. So see how things go, and I might be back for a fight phase report. If not, it'll be on to Necron's turn 2. So we're moving into Necron's turn 2, and we're moving over to Protocol of the Conquering Tyrant. So we're going to maximise our auras with an extra 3 inches here. I'm going to kick off the imperatives with the I think we'll go for the aggressive imperative, so extra 3-inch move, but we reduce our save by 1. And for the Cataphrons there, I think we will go for the good old benediction of the Omnissiah there. So here we go then with Necron, turn 2. End of the Necron's movement phase. The Tomb Blades have swooped over to here. The Death Marks have come in, ready to do some sniping. The Warriors have just shuffled a little bit forward just to make sure they're all within 12 of the Outriders. The Wraiths have moved up to engage the Cataphrons. And the Scarabs and Spider here have moved forward. Spider advanced, but not enough to get fully over the pipe, so he's had to fall short just behind. The Necrons scored 14 points, so that's 10 from the primary objective, and 4 from destroying more units than the enemy destroyed in the previous turn. So, moving on then to the Necron shooting phase for turn 2. End of Necron's shooting phase, and the Outriders took heavy damage thanks to a combination of fire from the Warriors there. The Death Marks did shoot them but didn't get any wounds. The Tomb Blades did shoot the Battle Sisters, but the sister with a 2+ save decided to tank them all. And the 3 Wraiths missed all their 3 transdimensional beamer shots. But moving on to the assault phase, we've got the Scarabs over here that are going to go in, and that's going to be pretty much it. End of Necron fight phase. The Scarabs charged in and did no damage to the Archoflagellants. They fought back and killed a base and half wounded another. But we're moving on now to the Imperium turn 2. Ended the Imperium movement phase, and we didn't move very much. The Outrider whipped back behind the building to keep himself protected. The Skitarii moved up as best they could. Two managed to get up on top of the container thanks to their extra 3-inch move, but the remaining are down on the bottom level still. The Assault Intercessors furthest away moved up, and the Captain and Lieutenant moved to be in buff range for them. So I forgot to bring on my reserves. I won't bring on anything at the moment. I think we're in a good enough position to hold for the moment. But the Seraphim and the Phobos Lieutenant will be ready to come in at some point near soon. So yeah, moving on to the Imperium shooting phase, and hopefully those Cataphrons will be able to do some damage to those Wraiths. End of the Imperium shooting phase, and the Tomb Blades have fallen. Most of it was to the Battle Sisters, but the Dominus shot his Volkite into them and scored the all-important 2 mortal wounds. So he didn't get a chance to make any saves on that. The Cataphrons fired everything into the Wraiths. It took all the combined power of the Plasmas, Gravs, Flamers, and the Phosphor to fell a single Wraith. The Assault Intercessors fired the bolt pistols but didn't do any damage. And the Captain and the Lieutenant as well missed with their shots. The Plasma and the 3 Galvanic Rifles here fired into the Warriors, killing only one of them, but he managed to reanimate. So now moving on to the Imperium's charge phase. So we have the Assault Intercessors hopefully go into the Wraiths. And that'll be pretty much it, I think. So here we go with the Imperium Assault phase. End of Imperium turn 2. And, well, the Wraiths are no more. The Assault Intercessors managed to charge in with a... no need for a command reroll. Actually, I did command reroll because I was 1 low and I managed to get the 6 I needed plus an extra 3. So 9-inch charge on those guys. And with the help of Honor the Chapter, they managed to eliminate the entire unit of Wraiths thanks to close combat attacks. Even with their 4+ invuln, the Wraiths were a little on the fragile side. Down here, I blew up a single base of Scarabs that was already wounded. I rolled a 6, so 3 mortal wounds on the Archoflagellants, which they didn't get to ignore. The remaining base fought and managed to do 3 wounds thanks to its attacks. Did pretty well. So there's only 1 Archoflagellant left, but he has enough damage to wipe out that base anyway. But it's now moving on to the Necrons turn 3. So for our protocol, we are... oh, I put that in the wrong order. That's the order I want. Vengeful Stars, not Hungry Void. So we're going for extra armor penetration on our shooting. For the Skitarii, they will move over to Protector Imperative, so an extra ballistic skill. I forgot about Benediction Omnissiah on the Cataphrons, but it wasn't really needed. So we're going to go over to Invocation of Machine Vengeance for an extra d6 on advance and charges. So here we go with Necron turn 3. Okay, end of Necron movement phase, and nothing much has happened. The warriors and characters in the middle there have moved up, ready to unload onto the Skitarii. And the warriors over here will focus on the Space Marines. So, moving then on to Necron's shooting phase. So, end of the Necron shooting phase, and yeah, it doesn't look too good for the Imperium. So, the Spider killed the remaining Archoflagellant, and the Death Marks killed 3 Battle Sisters. I tried to save on the Simulacrum as she was in cover, but she failed, and then 2 others fell. The Warriors over here eliminated 3 of the Assault Intercessors and wounding the 4th. And a combination of these Warriors and the Crypt deck there have eliminated the Skitarii. So it's on to charge phase. There's no charges. I'm not going to be charging anything in haphazardly. So it's straight to Imperium turn 3. End of Imperium movement phase, and it hasn't been much of a movement. So the 2 remaining Assault Intercessors have moved up, ready to engage the Necron Warriors there, and the Cataphrons have moved up a building, ready to engage there. Battle Sisters have piled themselves into the terrain to better protect themselves from enemy fire, and other than that, that's not a lot. There's still no space for me to bring in any of my reinforcements, which is going to really hinder me at the moment, because the only place I could bring the aggressors in is over here, or over there. And really they won't be in a position to do much in the way of aiding my victory. The Necrons aren't advancing far forward enough for me to get behind them with my deep striking units. But we'll have to wait and see how things go. I think this really, for 75 power, this board's a little too small to be any good. But we'll see how things go. So on to the Imperium shooting phase. End of the shooting phase, and there wasn't a lot of action. The Assault Intercessors didn't get managed to kill a single warrior, and everything from the Cataphrons went into the warriors, and they killed 4. Well, 6 in total, but 1 reanimated. Actually, no, they killed 7 in total, 3 of which reanimated, and the Assault Intercessors then killed 1 of those that reanimated. So yeah, not too good, not too bad. All we've got to do is the Assault Intercessor is going to charge over the pipes into the Warriors, hopefully. And then I think it's going to be a Necron victory anyway. They're ahead of us by 14 points, and they score an extra 4 points at the end of this phase, end of this battle round anyway, because they killed a unit, and we haven't killed a unit. So let's see what happens in the charge phase. So the Assault Intercessors managed to make their charge with a command reroll, and they managed to kill a single warrior, but luckily the warriors did no damage back. So with that, it's on to Necron's turn 4. So we're going to go into Protocol of Undying Legions, so we will reroll a reanimation dice, I think. And there's not a lot the AdMech can do, so I'm not going to bother changing any of their things. So we're on to the Necron's movement phase. So in the Necron movement phase, the Warriors and Reanimator and the Crypt deck have moved up in the centre there. The Spiders moved over to target the Battle Sisters. And the Overlord's moving over to help those Warriors in a fight against those Assault Intercessors. And I brought the Frayed ones in just because I can. It helps to fill up a bit of a hole. Although not a lot could have come in there because it's too many fields of overlapping fire, really. There's not enough gap for anything to drop in, not even a single model. Yeah, the Necrons are now 38-10, so I think the Imperium's going to be losing this battle. So I'll just finish off the Necron's turn, and then the Imperium will concede, and I'll tot up the extra points that the Necrons will most likely score. So here we go then with the Necron shooting phase. Oh, I'll do everything off camera. So the remainder of the Necron's turn. So yeah, end of the game. So yeah, Space Marines are going to be giving up on turn 4. there wasn't a lot they could do. They weren't able to bring their forces into a position that would benefit them. And totaling up points that the Necrons would have earned, they would have killed another unit, and that ended up being more than the opponent would have killed of theirs. So with the extra 10 from the objectives, they would have been on 52 to the Imperium's meager 20. Losing the Phobos early didn't do them much good. I probably would have been better off deploying them further back and then moving out to control that objective. And really, I think I held back a bit too much, which allowed the Necrons to get a lot of ground quickly. But all in all, I think, yeah, the way the forces are for a lot of the things, we are getting very samey. And the Necrons are going to be constantly using their same units over and over again, pretty much. The Imperium does have a bit of variety, as we got the 3 factions to choose from. I took Greyfax just to see how well she would be. And really, against Necrons, she doesn't do too well. She's better off against Chaos Forces and Demons. So maybe when we get Draxus in the extra issues, she might be a better Inquisitor against Necrons, because she's Auto Xenos. So yeah, really looking forward to using her at some point in the future when we get the expanded issues. And yeah, so I think if I took a bit more of a Space Marine force and left behind all the left behind the Skitarii, because they didn't really pull their weight this time around. If I'd focused more on Imperium units, the Space Marine units, they might have done a little bit better. But the way it was, things didn't go exactly to plan. But next up is the big battle, and we're going to be able to use Calgar for that. So I'm quite looking forward to that. It's going to be a full Ultramarine force. With Calgar obviously leading it. So it'll be quite nice to have the named character on our side, because it might definitely throw the game more our way. So we'll see how things go in the future of this magazine. So with that said, and the battle won, all I've got to do now is to say thank you all for watching. Be sure to, of course, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you next time for more mad content. Goodbye.